Hello again, it's Mr. Dixon, your too cool for school counselor, back with another episode of Mr. Dixon's Doodles. Today, we're going to discuss how to send a great email. First, we'll start by describing what an email is and what makes it different from things like direct messages, and then we'll work through the basics of how you can send a great email. The term email is short for electronic mail. Since we send emails through the internet instead of the mailbox, people receive them much more quickly. When students use email, they are often talking to others about school and their schoolwork. Common people for you to email would be your teachers, counselors, or other people in your school. When you get older, you'll probably use email to talk to people like your coworkers and boss. Emails are different from direct messages and text messages, even though they're all done through the internet. Just like letters sent through the mail, emails are meant to be more formal and professional, whereas DMs and texts are just quick messages to others. Professional is another word for serious. An easy way to remember this is to think of professional athletes. They get paid to play sports and often take more time to prepare. As I mentioned, we use DMs and text messages to talk to others more casually. It's important to remember this difference between sending emails and other types of messages. When you're emailing others, there are certain rules we should try to follow to make sure we're being professional and preparing our email the appropriate way. Now that you know what an email is and how they are used to communicate with others in a professional way, we're going to walk through how to send a great email. Common softwares used to send emails are Gmail, Yahoo, and Outlook. I'm going to work through an example of how to send an email using Gmail, but no matter which email you use, the rules I talk about in this video will probably be pretty similar. The first step in sending an email after logging onto your account is to click on the Compose button. If you don't see a button that says Compose, look for one that says something like New Message. Before you begin typing your messages, it's important that you type in who you're sending the email to in the To portion I've circled here. After you enter the email address of the person you're messaging, scroll down to the subject line. In the subject line, you provide a brief sentence or a couple of words that let the other person know what the email is about before they open it. For example, if you were sending an email to your teacher about a homework question, you would put something like homework help in the subject line. Now we'll focus on the body of the email, which is where your full message will go. Before we start on this example, remember emails are meant to be more professional. Take extra steps to be prepared and think about what you message. The format of the email is similar to a regular letter. If you never wrote a letter before, that's okay. These rules are pretty easy to follow. Each email starts with a greeting. When it's someone you don't know that well or someone like your teacher with a position of authority, the respectful way to greet them is by calling them Mr. if they're a man or Miss if they're a woman. If someone was emailing me, for example, they would use Mr. Dixon. After you put your greeting in, you hit the return key on your computer twice and give yourself a gap between your greeting and the first word that you type. This picture shows an example of that gap. Now you're ready to write your main message. Take your time and think about what you want to send. Remember, when you send an email, it should be professional. That means taking your time and using correct grammar and complete sentences. Every few sentences and paragraphs, add another gap in. This spacing makes it a lot easier for your reader to understand what you send them. After you have typed in your email, the last thing you need to do before hitting send is add a closing and a signature. The closing is what this arrow is pointing to. It's basically a way to let the other person know you're at the end of your message and to also do things like thank them. Common closings are thank you and sincerely. The signature is the very last part of your email. It is a place you include your name and other information about you. As you get older, you'll include more of the other information, but for now, let's focus on adding your name in. After you add your name in, you're free to click the send button and the other person will receive your message. A last important tip I'll give you is teaching you how to message someone back if they message you first. All you want to do for this is to click the reply button here, and then you can start typing a message back to them. After you finish typing your reply to them, just press the send button and the message will go back. Congratulations, you've learned all the main parts of sending a great email to others. There are many other things you can do in an email, but starting with the basics we discussed in this video will set you up to be successful in your email. Throughout this video, you've learned about what an email is, how emails are different than other types of messages, and lastly about how you can send a great email. Remember, an email is the way to communicate professionally with others. When we're emailing others, we should take the time to think and prepare our message in a way that is appropriate and shows others respect. It's extra important to use correct grammar and punctuation. That's all for a lesson on sending emails. Until next time, remember you are competent and capable, so always be confident. See ya!